The Galactic Council was busy in their enormous chamber. Hundreds of species from all over the galaxy filled the room. Tall beings with scales, short creatures with many arms, and glowing shapes that floated in the air were all seated. Each of them had important faces, worried about the threats at the edges of the galaxy. The Council had faced many wars before, but they had never seen anything like this coming. Suddenly, the ground of the chamber trembled. The counselors looked around in fear. Outside the windows, the stars were calm, but then dozens of shapes appeared. Ships moved quickly from the far side of the system. They were unlike any ship anyone had ever seen. Their metal hulls reflected the light of distant suns, but they were damaged. There were burns, scratches, and parts that were bent out of shape. Some had large holes patched up with rough metal. Something red streaked along the sides of the ships. Many counselors gasped. The Zarn ambassador, Lyra Kellen, raised her many arms. "What is this?" she asked in a voice that shook the glass of the chamber. "Who dares approach the capital without permission?" The ships did not stop. They moved closer to the council world. One large ship, bigger than any warship in the known galaxy, led the fleet. Its hull was dark but polished in some places, as if it had been cared for with great pride. The other ships followed, forming a long line that stretched across the sky. A calm voice came over the council's communication system. It was human, deep and firm. "Galactic Council," it said. "We have come to report victory." The council froze. No one expected this. Humans were supposed to be a small species, limited to their own star system. They were young and weak compared to most races. Humans were known mostly for curiosity and their strange little ships that barely reached nearby planets. And now, this fleet, this message, it shocked everyone. A smaller ship broke away and moved toward the council hall. Its engines glowed orange, leaving streaks behind. A shuttle bay opened, and a human stepped out. He was tall, strong, and wore a simple uniform. His hair was dark and his eyes were sharp. His face was tired but full of determination. Around him, other humans came out of the shuttle, women and men, all with serious faces. Commander Laura Brooks walked beside him, holding a small device that flickered softly. An AI companion named Vega hovered nearby, projecting light like a small sun. The chamber fell silent. No one spoke. Many were confused, but fear mixed with curiosity. Some whispered among themselves. A few species that had fought humans in small skirmishes long ago looked pale. The humans' calmness was frightening. Captain Ethan Ward stepped forward. His boots clicked on the metal floor of the chamber. He stopped at the center and looked at the council. "We have fought," he said quietly, but every word sounded strong. "We have won. We are here to report." Lyra Kellen's many eyes widened. "Won? Won what? You were not authorized to leave your system. You were told to stay quiet. What have you done?" Ethan did not move his eyes. "We were attacked," he said. "We defended ourselves. We saved lives. We fought because no one else would," the council murmured. They did not understand. How could humans, young and weak, fight against anyone and survive? Some species were known to crush entire systems with ease. How could humans do it? Commander Brooks stepped forward and connected her device to the council's system. Screens lit up, showing images of burning planets. Ships exploded in fire. But in the middle of the chaos, human ships were seen shielding smaller ships, evacuating civilians. They moved fast, carefully, and with precision that no one expected from humans. The counselors leaned forward. They could see the humans climbing aboard enemy ships, fighting with their hands, and planting devices to stop weapons. There was no hesitation. They were fearless. The red streaks on the human ships were not paint or decoration. They were the remains of those who had attacked human colonies. Every ship carried the marks of battle. Lyra Kellen's voice was sharp. "You call this victory? Millions must have died." Ethan shook his head slightly. "We did not kill for pleasure. We killed to stop those who would have destroyed millions more. Every life saved was worth the risk. The council chamber was quiet again. Many members looked shocked. Some were angry. They whispered to each other. The humans stood still, their presence commanding attention. No one had dared to approach the council like this, and now these humans came with evidence that no one could ignore. From the back of the chamber, a voice rose. "Explain yourselves." It was Councillor Dren of the Voth. His many arms waved in the air. "The Korth Dominion has been at war with the Vorkai for decades. How dare you interfere in a conflict that is not yours? Who gave you the right?" Ethan took a deep breath. "No one gave us the right. No one warned us. Our colonies were attacked and we were told to remain silent. You all knew what would happen if the Korth Dominion continued. You chose to ignore it. We chose to act. We chose to fight. The images on the council screens showed entire fleets destroyed, but the human ships survived. The humans were always in the middle, saving others, shielding colonies from orbital bombardments and stopping weapons from firing. The footage made the councillors uneasy. Humans were supposed to be weak, unprepared. Yet here they were, showing strategy, courage, and efficiency. One of the councillors whispered, "They did not come for power. They came to fight and to save." Captain Ethan walked slowly to the nearest councillor, his eyes scanning the chamber. "We did not come for your approval," he said. "We did not come to join your wars or to ask for favors. We came to report what happened. We fought because if we had not, everyone you care for would have suffered. And we will fight again if needed." Commander Brooks projected more images. This time they were of refugees, species who had lost everything. Humans had evacuated entire cities under fire, carrying children, elders, and those too weak to move. The council members gasped. They could see the humans holding off fleets, rescuing those left behind. They did not just fight to win, they fought to protect. A silence filled the chamber. No one moved. Some were angry, others were afraid, but many were impressed. No species had ever dared to act this way. The humans did not ask permission. They did not wait for orders. They acted, and they succeeded. Lyra Kellen spoke again, her voice quieter this time. "Your ships, your actions, they are unusual." Ethan nodded. "We are unusual. Humans have survived when no one expected us to. We do not give up, and we do not surrender. You may call us reckless. You may call us monsters, but know this. We fight for life, not for glory." Vega, the AI, floated beside them, projecting a map of the war. It showed the Korth Dominion fleets, the Vorkai defenses, and the human movements. Every step of the campaign was calculated, precise, and effective. The councillors realized that humans had planned everything carefully. It was not luck that allowed them to survive. It was skill, courage, and determination. Councillor Dren's many eyes blinked rapidly. "You have broken every rule. You interfered in conflicts that were not yours. You. His voice trailed off. Ethan's expression did not change. "We do not deny it. We are responsible for our actions. But understand this. Inaction is also a choice. You chose inaction. We chose to act." The council sat in stunned silence. Some species looked at each other, whispering in disbelief. Others looked at the humans and felt something new, respect mixed with fear. Humans had arrived not just with ships, but with a new kind of courage that no one in the council had expected. Commander Brooks turned to Ethan. "We need to show them everything," she said quietly. Ethan nodded. "They will see soon enough. They will see the cost we paid, the lives we saved, and the strength we have. This is only the beginning." The council chamber waited, tense and unsure. The humans were young, small, and unknown. Yet in their eyes, the council could see a force that was older and stronger than many ancient empires. Humans had come to report victory, but they had also come to change the galaxy's understanding of power. Outside, the fleet remained in orbit, waiting. The red streaks on the ships reflected the light of the sun, shining like a warning. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never forget the day the humans came with blood-stained ships. Even the oldest counselor, Voron, who had lived for thousands of cycles, whispered to himself, "They are not like anyone we have met, and they may not be controlled." And so the humans stood tall, silent, and proud in the middle of the chamber. They did not demand anything. They did not threaten anyone. They only reported the truth, that humanity had survived, fought, and changed the course of the galaxy by their courage alone. The council did not know yet whether to fear them or to respect them. But one thing was certain: the galaxy had changed forever, and the humans had just begun their story. The council chamber remained tense after the humans' arrival. The large room, filled with dozens of species, buzzed with whispers. Every counselor was trying to understand what had happened. Humans were young, small, and supposedly weak, yet they had come here with ships that had survived battles most of the galaxy could not imagine. Counselor Dren of the Voth broke the silence. His many arms waved angrily. "You speak of defending yourselves, but you went far beyond your borders. You interfered in conflicts that do not concern you. This is a serious violation of council law." Ethan Ward stepped forward calmly. "We understand that," he said. "We do not deny breaking rules. But rules cannot protect lives when those who made them refuse to act. We acted because no one else would." Lyra Kellen's eyes narrowed. "Explain to us clearly. What exactly happened? Which colonies were attacked, and by whom?" Ethan nodded and gestured to Commander Brooks. She touched her device, and the council hall was filled with more images and data. Planets burned. Cities were destroyed. Ships exploded in the vacuum of space. And in every picture, human ships were seen shielding smaller vessels, carrying refugees and fighting off attackers. The council members gasped as they watched. They could see humans boarding enemy ships hand to hand, using simple tools and weapons, but always with efficiency and courage. The red stains on their ships were real. The humans had fought directly and survived. Voth Counselor Dren hissed, "This is chaos." "You have caused more destruction than peace." Ethan did not flinch. "Destruction is part of war, but we minimized it. Every life we saved matters more than your rules. Your inaction would have allowed millions to die. We did not seek glory. We sought survival. That is all." A holographic projection showed the human fleets moving through enemy lines. They were outnumbered, surrounded, and yet they advanced carefully, always protecting the weak. Many species in the council chamber whispered to each other. It was clear that humans were not acting recklessly. They had a plan. An elder counselor from the planet Korath spoke. His voice was calm but heavy with suspicion. "These humans, they are small, fragile, and young. How could they possibly survive such wars?" Commander Brooks replied, her voice steady. "We are not fragile. We have trained, learned, and adapted. We do not give up. Our colonies were attacked. We had no choice. Survival was the only law we followed." Ethan stepped closer to the center of the chamber. "We did not fight for power. We fought because no one else would. The Korth Dominion attacked our colonies, and the council watched in silence. We built fleets in secret, allied with those willing to help, and we struck. We won because we had to." A murmur went through the chamber. Some council members looked afraid. Others were impressed. Humans had acted when the council failed. The thought of such courage unsettled many species who had always relied on hierarchy and law to maintain order. Vega, the AI, projected more data, showing the numbers. Millions of lives had been saved. Hundreds of human ships had fought dozens of enemy fleets. Casualties were high, but human forces had survived. Refugee worlds had been evacuated. Star systems that would have fallen were now safe. Lyra Kellen's voice softened slightly. "You speak of victory, yet you show us death. How many humans died?" Ethan's eyes were steady. "Thousands. Every life lost is a tragedy. But consider the millions who would have died if we had stayed silent. Humanity does not measure victory by destruction. We measure it by lives saved." A quiet voice came from the back of the chamber. It was Counselor Mirren of the Vorkai. You acted without permission. You took weapons, ships, and fleets that were not given to you. How can we trust you?" Ethan's voice was firm. "Trust is earned by action. We do not ask for permission when permission would mean death. We act and we take responsibility. If you cannot understand that, then you do not understand humanity." The chamber went silent again. Counselors whispered to each other. shocked by the boldness of the humans. Some feared them, others admired them. No one had ever acted like this. Commander Brooks spoke again. "We will not repeat the mistakes of the past. We will not allow silence to let killers destroy the weak. Humanity is small, yes, but we are determined. If the Council refuses to act, we will. That is all there is to it." Councillor Dren's many arms waved angrily. "You speak of determination, yet you break laws. You have challenged the authority of the Council itself." Ethan's face did not change. "The Council did not challenge the Korth Dominion. You refused to act when our colonies were attacked. If laws mean nothing when lives are at stake, then maybe laws are not enough." Vega projected a map of the galaxy, showing the territories of the Korth Dominion and the human colonies. Lines traced the movements of human fleets. The councillors could see the careful strategies humans had used. It was not reckless. Humans had studied, planned, and executed every step with precision. Lyra Kellen's many eyes focused on the projection. This is impressive. You saved entire systems, yet you risked everything." Ethan nodded. "We risked everything because survival is not negotiable. Life is worth more than rules. Every species here knows what it is like to fight for survival. Yet when humans needed help, the Council ignored us. We acted. That is what it means to survive." The chamber was quiet, but the whispers continued. Some species began to speak, sharing memories of their own wars. They realized that humans were not reckless monsters. They were survivors, fighters, and protectors. Councillor Dren's voice shook with anger and disbelief. "You speak of protection, yet your ships carry blood. Entire fleets have been destroyed. How do you justify this?" Commander Brooks stepped forward. "The blood on our ships is not proof of cruelty. It is proof of survival. It is proof that we fought to save lives. We fought those who would have destroyed our people and others. That is all." Ethan's voice grew stronger. "We did not come here to ask for approval. We came to report the truth. You failed to act when it mattered." "We did not. Humanity stands here to show that courage is not measured by age, size, or tradition. Courage is measured by action." The council chamber was tense. Many members were afraid of these humans who spoke with such confidence. Others were impressed. They realized that humans had achieved what no other species had done. They had survived and protected when all others had failed. Vega projected a timeline of human actions. It showed battles, rescues, and evacuations. Every move was calculated. Every risk was considered. The counselors could see that humans did not act blindly. They had plans, strategies, and courage beyond measure. Lyra Kellen's voice was quiet. "You speak of courage. But what of the cost? How many were lost?" Ethan's eyes were steady. Thousands of humans died. But millions of others lived because of our actions. Humanity values life. That is our measure of victory. Not conquest. Not wealth. Life. Councillor Dren's eyes narrowed. "You defy us, yet you ask for understanding. How can we trust you will not act against us?" Ethan's voice was firm. "Trust is earned by deeds. We have shown our deeds. We fought to save lives. We did not seek power. We did not conquer. We acted because it was necessary. If you understand that, you will see the truth. If you do not, you will still see the results," the counselors whispered again. Some species began to admire humans. Others remained cautious. No one had ever faced a species that acted so boldly, with such determination and skill. Commander Brooks turned slightly to Ethan. "We should show them more evidence. They must understand the full scope." Ethan nodded. "They will see soon enough. Every step, every choice, every life saved. They will see that humans fight not for glory, but because we must. That is all." The council chamber waited. The humans stood quietly, proud but calm. They did not demand anything. They only reported the truth. Outside, the human fleet remained in orbit. Ships gleamed under the light of distant suns. The red streaks on the hulls reflected the light, showing the cost of war. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy had seen for the first time that humans were not weak, not small and not unimportant. Even the oldest counselor, Voran, whispered to himself. "They are young, and yet they carry the courage of 1,000 civilizations. The galaxy will never be the same." And so humanity remained in the chamber, silent, proud, and determined. They had come not for power, not for glory, but to show the galaxy what courage, determination, and action could achieve. The council had much to think about. Fear mixed with respect, anger mixed with awe. The humans had arrived and their story had just begun. The day had ended with tension, but the galaxy had changed. Humans were no longer the small, weak species from the outer system. They were survivors, protectors, and warriors who had arrived with blood-stained ships, ready to face whatever the galaxy threw at them next. The council chamber was filled with tension the next day. Every species was gathered again, and the air felt heavy. Humans stood at the center, calm and steady. Captain Ethan Ward and Commander Laura Brooks were ready to face the questions of the Galactic Council. Even Vega, their AI companion, hovered nearby, projecting data quietly. Counselor Dren of the Voth started the session. "Humans," he said, his voice cold and sharp, "you have interfered in conflicts that are not yours. You have attacked fleets, destroyed ships, and acted without permission. You have broken the laws of the Council. Today, we call you to answer for your actions." Ethan did not flinch. He walked forward, his boots echoing across the floor. "We knew the law would not protect us," he said calmly. "We knew the Council would not act to save our people. We acted because someone had to. If our actions break your laws, then so be it. But remember this: inaction is also a choice. You chose inaction." "We chose action," the council chamber whispered. Some species were shocked by his boldness. Others were impressed. They had not expected humans to speak so clearly, so firmly, and without fear. Counselor Dren waved his many arms. "Explain yourselves. How did you manage to fight against the Korth Dominion? How did you survive when you were so small, so weak, and so young?" Commander Brooks stepped forward. "We were prepared. We trained for this. We learned fast. Our colonies were attacked, and the Council did nothing. If we had not acted, millions would have died. We built fleets in secret, worked with allies, and struck at the right moments. Every step was planned. Every life we saved was our mission." Vega projected more holograms. The counselors saw human fleets moving through enemy lines, shielding smaller ships, and evacuating civilians. They saw humans boarding enemy vessels, fighting with tools and weapons and disabling attacks that would have killed thousands. The humans did not fight for power. They fought for survival and protection. Counselor Mirren of the Vorkai spoke quietly. "You speak of saving lives, yet entire enemy fleets have been destroyed. How do you justify this?" Ethan's eyes were steady. "We do not justify war, but war happens. When our colonies were attacked, we had no choice. The Korth Dominion would have destroyed our people. We acted to stop them. We fought to protect, not to conquer. Every ship we destroyed carried a threat. Every life we risked was to save others." The council chamber grew silent. Members looked at the humans, trying to understand. Humans were not supposed to be like this. They were small, fragile, and young compared to the ancient species in the council. Yet they had survived, protected others, and returned with evidence. Lyra Kellen spoke slowly. "You speak of courage, but what about the cost? How many humans died?" Ethan's voice did not shake. "Thousands of humans died. Every loss is a tragedy, but millions of lives were saved. The value of life is not measured by your laws or your rules. It is measured by action, by courage, by survival. That is what humans do. That is what we have always done." A counselor from Korath, an elder species, known for wisdom, asked softly, "And the other species? Were they spared? Did you save lives beyond your own?" Commander Brooks nodded. "Yes, we saved as many as we could. Entire colonies of other species were evacuated. Civilians were protected. Hospitals were shielded. Refugees were brought to safety. We did not fight for glory. We fought because it was right." Counselor Dren's voice grew louder. "You have defied us. You have shown the galaxy that humans act without permission. How can we trust you will not continue to break our laws? How can we trust humans at all?" Ethan stepped closer, looking at every counselor in the chamber. "Trust is earned by action, not by fear. We have shown our actions. We fought, we protected, we survived. We did not seek power, wealth, or control. We acted because no one else would. That is our measure. If you cannot see it, you will still see the results. The counselors whispered among themselves. Many were impressed, others were angry. But all were silent, realizing that humans were not just bold, they were effective. They had fought wars no one expected them to fight, and they had done so successfully. Vega projected a new set of images. This time it showed refugees of different species. Children clung to human soldiers, elderly beings were helped aboard ships, and wounded were cared for even under fire. The humans moved quickly, carefully, and without fear. The counselors gasped. These were not the reckless actions of a weak species. These were careful, calculated moves to protect life. Lyra Kellen whispered to herself, They are not like anyone we have ever met. Ethan spoke again. You may see us as reckless. You may see us as a threat. But we act because someone must. We fight when others will not. You may call us monsters for breaking your laws, but the true monsters are those who watch and do nothing while lives are lost. Counselor Dren's arms waved wildly. You accuse the council? You accuse us of ignoring your plight? That is insolent. Ethan nodded. It is the truth. Your council had the information. You knew the Korth Dominion planned to destroy colonies, and you did nothing. We acted because survival cannot wait for permission. If you cannot accept that, it is your choice. We will still continue to protect, still continue to fight, because action is what matters. The council chamber grew quiet again. Members whispered. Some were fearful of humans. Others were curious, almost admiring. They realized that humans had done what they thought impossible. The humans had survived, protected civilians, and changed the course of war. Commander Brooks turned slightly and spoke to a few sympathetic counselors. We need to make them see everything, she said. They must understand why we did this. Ethan nodded. They will see. Every plan, every risk, every life saved. They will see that humanity fights not for glory or conquest, but because it is necessary. The counselors leaned forward as Vega projected a complete timeline of human actions. Every movement of fleets, every rescue operation, every battle was shown. They could see the humans were not reckless or lucky. They were strategic, careful, and brave. Counselor Mirren's eyes widened. They are organized. They fought not only to survive, but to save others. This is remarkable. Ethan's voice was steady. We do not claim perfection. We lost lives. We risked everything. But we acted, and we will continue to act wherever needed. This is what humanity does. We do not wait. We do not hesitate. We fight for life no matter the odds. The chamber whispered again. Some counselors were moved. Others remained cautious. But all could see one truth. Humans had done what no one else would. They had changed the galaxy not with power, but with courage and determination. Counselor Dren's voice softened slightly. And yet, you come here, to the council with ships covered in blood. How can we understand your intent? Commander Brooks stepped forward. The blood on our ships is not proof of cruelty. It is proof of survival. It is proof that we fought to protect life. Every mark tells a story of defense, not of conquest. Every life saved is a message. Humans fight for others, not for themselves. Ethan looked around the chamber. We do not demand approval. We do not ask for permission. We report the truth. The council failed to act when it should have. We acted. That is our responsibility. That is humanity's way. The council chamber was silent. Many species whispered quietly to each other, realizing they had underestimated humans. Small, young, fragile, yet capable of surviving, protecting, and acting where others failed. Even the oldest counselor, Voran, who had lived for thousands of cycles, whispered to himself, They are young, yet they carry the courage of 1,000 civilizations. They will not be ignored. The humans remained calm, standing proud in the center of the chamber. They did not demand respect or fear. They only told the truth, showed the evidence, and waited. The council had to decide what to do next. The humans had shown power, courage, and determination. They had acted alone, yet they had saved millions. They had challenged the Council's authority, yet their actions could not be ignored. Outside, the human fleet hovered in orbit, waiting silently. The red streaks on the ships reflected the light of distant suns, showing the cost of war. Humanity had arrived, and the Council could no longer pretend they were weak or insignificant. This trial would decide the future. The Council would see whether humans were monsters to be punished or heroes to be respected. But one thing was already clear. The galaxy would never forget the courage and determination of humanity, nor the day humans came with blood-stained ships and refused to bow to fear or silence. The Council chamber was tense. Humans stood quietly in the center, their presence commanding attention. Outside the massive windows, their fleet remained in orbit, waiting, quiet but ready. Captain Ethan Ward and Commander Laura Brooks knew the Council expected them to answer questions. What the Council did not know was that the humans had far more to reveal. Ethan took a deep breath and addressed the chamber. "We have explained our actions, but there is more you must know. The Council knew of the Korth Dominion's plan long before our colonies were attacked." A shocked murmur ran through the room. Councilors looked at each other in disbelief. The thought that the Council had known and done nothing was horrifying. Lyra Kellen's many eyes narrowed. "Explain yourself, human. What do you mean by this?" Ethan's voice was steady. "Your Council had intelligence about the Korth Dominion's attacks. You knew they planned to exterminate frontier colonies, including human ones. And yet you did nothing. You refused to intervene. You chose inaction while millions were in danger." Councilor Dren's many arms waved in anger. "This is an accusation. How dare you claim the Council allowed such destruction?" Ethan did not flinch. "It is the truth. You failed to protect life. You ignored warnings. You watched silently as colonies were destroyed, and then you called us reckless for defending ourselves and others." Commander Brooks projected new holographic images. The Council chamber was filled with records of intercepted messages, intelligence reports, and communications showing that the Council had known the Korth Dominion's plans. Dates, times, and locations were highlighted. The proof was clear. The room went silent. No counselor could deny the evidence. Whispers filled the chamber. Some species were horrified. Others were angry. The truth was undeniable. The humans had not acted recklessly. They had acted because the Council had failed. Vega projected the sequence of human actions. It showed fleets moving in perfect coordination, saving entire colonies while avoiding unnecessary destruction. Refugees were evacuated, civilians protected, and enemy attacks stopped before they could strike fully. The humans had minimized casualties wherever possible. Counselor Mirren of the Vorkai spoke quietly, his voice shaking. This cannot be ignored. You have proven not only skill but moral courage. You acted when the Council refused to act. But your methods, they are extreme." Ethan's eyes were sharp. "Extreme, perhaps, but necessary. When life is at stake, extreme is sometimes the only choice. We do not fight for glory or power. We fight to survive and to protect others. You have seen our actions. You have seen the lives saved. That is what matters." The chamber was divided. Some counselors whispered support for the humans. Others still demanded punishment. The room was filled with tension, confusion, and fear. But one thing was clear. Humans had changed the Council's understanding of courage and responsibility. Lyra Kellen finally spoke. "You accuse the Council of inaction. You say we allowed the Korth Dominion to attack. Why show us this now?" Commander Brooks stepped forward. "Because the Council must understand that inaction has consequences. Humanity acts when no one else will. We saved lives. We protected the weak. We exposed your failures not for revenge, but to show the truth. You cannot hide behind rules when lives are at stake." Counselor Dren's voice rose again. "And what do you expect? That we accept this? That we forgive your violations of law?" Ethan's voice was calm but firm. "We do not ask for forgiveness. We ask for understanding. You must see the truth. Your Council failed. We acted. That is reality. The galaxy will remember who fought when others did not. You may punish us for breaking laws, but history will record our courage." Vega projected a new set of images. These were different. They showed humans helping other species in secret, evacuating refugees and defending colonies from attacks. Each image was labeled with dates, times, and the species saved. The council chamber was filled with shocked gasps. Counselor Mirren whispered, They saved millions beyond their own people. They risked everything for others. This is beyond anything we imagined. Ethan nodded. We act because it is right. That is our choice. You act because of laws, rules, and politics. Sometimes laws protect the guilty and punish the innocent. We will not wait. We will not hesitate. That is the difference. A young counselor from a minor species spoke. Her voice was trembling. If humans can act with such courage and care, then what does that make the rest of us? What do we become if we sit and watch? Ethan's eyes softened slightly. You become spectators, observers of death. Humans act because survival and protection matter more than politics. We have no patience for excuses. We fight. That is what you must understand. The chamber was silent again. Many counselors were deep in thought. They realized that the humans had not only acted effectively, but they had also exposed the council's weakness. Silence and inaction had allowed tragedy. Humans had turned failure into opportunity, proving that courage and action could change outcomes. Lyra Kellen spoke softly. Your fleet, your actions, they are undeniable. You did not act for conquest. You acted to save lives. But your arrival here, with blood on your ships, it is still shocking. Commander Brooks stepped forward. The blood on our ships is a message. It is proof that we fought to protect, not destroy. Every mark shows survival. Every streak shows courage. Every scar tells a story of defense. We did not seek revenge. We sought to save as many as possible. The blood is evidence of what happens when no one acts to protect life. Counselor Dren's many arms hung at his sides. We failed to see the cost of inaction. We cannot ignore this. Ethan's voice was firm. You cannot ignore it. The galaxy will remember. You may try to punish us for breaking laws, but the truth will be known. Humans act when others cannot or will not. That is who we are. Vega projected the final set of images. These showed the aftermath of human interventions. Cities were safe, refugees were cared for, and colonies that would have been destroyed were intact. The humans had made difficult choices, but the results were clear. Millions of lives were saved because humanity had chosen to act. Lyra Kellen looked around the chamber. You have shown the Council its failures. You have proven that humans act where others do not. Your courage, your choices, they are extraordinary. Ethan nodded. We did not act for praise. We acted because we had to. Life matters more than rules. Protection matters more than politics. Courage matters more than fear. That is humanity. We do not wait. We do not hesitate. We fight because someone must. Counselor Dren finally spoke, his voice quieter. We must reconsider our judgment. You have exposed our failures. You have saved lives we could not. The Council must face the truth. Commander Brooks smiled faintly. That is all we ask. Face the truth. Understand what happens when courage is absent and action is delayed. Humanity acts because we must. That is the lesson. The council chamber remained silent. Humans stood quietly, proud but calm. They had shown evidence, revealed truths, and exposed the council's inaction. Their courage and determination were undeniable. The council could no longer dismiss them as weak or insignificant. Outside, the human fleet remained in orbit. Ships gleamed under distant suns, scars and red streaks visible for all to see. They had fought, survived, and saved countless lives. They had arrived with blood-stained ships, and they had brought the truth. Even the oldest counselor, Voran, whispered to himself, "They are not like any species we have known. Their courage, their actions, they are extraordinary." The galaxy will remember this day. The humans had changed the council's understanding of responsibility, courage, and action. They had shown that survival was not just about strength or rules. It was about choice, determination, and the willingness to act when no one else would. The trial had turned into something unexpected. It was no longer about punishment or law. It was about truth, courage, and the consequences of inaction. Humans had revealed the council's failure, exposed their weaknesses, and proven that action mattered more than words. The chamber waited, tense and silent. The humans stood proudly but without arrogance. They did not demand respect or fear. They only showed the truth and waited. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had revealed its courage, its determination, and its willingness to act. The council had been forced to see the consequences of their inaction. The humans had not only fought wars, They had shown the galaxy what it truly meant to protect life even when others refused. And so, the Council learned something it could not ignore. Humans were not just a young, weak species. They were warriors, protectors, and survivors. They acted when no one else would. They had come with blood-stained ships and the courage to change the galaxy forever. The Council chamber was quiet for the first time in many cycles. The humans had revealed the truth, shown the Council's failures, and proven their courage beyond any doubt. Captain Ethan Ward and Commander Laura Brooks stood in the center, calm and confident. Vega hovered nearby, projecting information quietly, ready to assist if needed. Counselors whispered to each other, some shocked, some afraid, some impressed. The younger species were inspired, seeing a species rise against impossible odds and act without hesitation to protect life. The older, more powerful species were uneasy, realizing that humans were not to be underestimated. Lyra Kellen finally spoke. Her voice was calm, but it carried weight. Humans, you have shown the Council the truth. You have acted where others failed. You have saved countless lives. You have challenged the rules and exposed the consequences of our inaction. What do you ask of us now? Ethan looked around the chamber. His gaze was steady, his voice strong. We ask nothing for ourselves. We ask that the Council learns from this, that the galaxy learns that courage matters more than rules, that action matters more than hesitation. Humanity does not fight for glory. We fight because life is worth saving. We ask that this truth be recognized, and that future decisions be made with action, not just words. Commander Brooks projected a new set of images. They showed humans building hospitals, feeding refugees, and protecting planets from further attacks. Even the smallest acts of care and protection were shown. The Council could see clearly that humans were not only fighters, they were guardians, protectors, and problem solvers. Counselor Dren's many arms hung low. You have changed the way we see humans. You are no longer small, weak, or young. You are remarkable, but your actions have challenged the Council itself. What will prevent humans from acting against us in the future? Ethan's eyes were steady. Humanity acts to protect life, not to conquer or destroy. We act because others will not. If you lead with courage and care, you will find humans are allies. If you fail, we will act again. That is our promise. But we will never act for revenge, only for protection. The chamber was silent. Counselors from many species whispered to each other. They were beginning to understand. Humans had not come for power. They had not sought glory. They had acted because it was necessary, and they had succeeded where others had failed. Vega projected a final timeline of human actions. It was clear that the humans' choices had saved millions of lives. Entire colonies that would have been destroyed were safe. Refugees of many species were protected. Enemy fleets were neutralized, but only as necessary to prevent further destruction. Lyra Kellen's voice was soft. You have shown the Council what courage truly means. You have proven that action is more important than rules when lives are at stake. But how do we ensure this will guide future decisions? Commander Brooks smiled faintly. By remembering this day. By understanding that inaction can cost more than action. By learning from humanity's example. We do not seek to rule. We do not seek power. We seek only to show that courage, action, and protection matter more than politics and rules. Let this guide the Council going forward. Counselor Dren's arms moved slowly. Perhaps we have underestimated humans for too long. Perhaps this is the beginning of a new understanding. Ethan nodded. It is a beginning. The galaxy can change for the better if courage leads the way. If action leads the way. Humans are small, yes, but we are willing to act. And we hope others will follow that example, for the sake of life itself. Outside, the human fleet remained in orbit. Ships gleamed in the light of distant suns. The red streaks from battles were still visible, but they now told a different story. A story of courage, survival, and protection. The galaxy had seen the humans fight, survive, and save millions. The message was clear. Humans acted when no one else could. Voran, the oldest counselor who had watched the events unfold, spoke quietly to himself. They are young, yet they carry the courage of 1,000 civilizations. They have shown us what true action means. The galaxy will never forget this day. Counselor Mirren of the Vorkai finally spoke aloud. Perhaps the Council should listen more closely to the humans. Their courage is undeniable. Their actions speak louder than any law or rule. If we are wise, we will learn from them. Ethan and Brooks exchanged a glance. They had come not to demand respect, but to show the truth. That truth had shaken the council. The humans had survived, protected life, and changed the galaxy's understanding of responsibility and courage. Lyra Kellen's many eyes softened. Humans, you have proven yourselves. The council acknowledges your courage, your actions, and your wisdom. You have changed the way we see life, war, and protection. Your message is clear. Courage is not measured by size, age, or experience. It is measured by choice and action. Commander Brooks nodded. That is all we ask. Let this be remembered. Let this guide the council and the galaxy. Humanity acts when necessary. Courage leads to survival. Action leads to protection. That is the lesson. The council chamber was quiet for a long moment. Then, one by one, councilors began to nod, slowly, reluctantly, but with growing respect. The humans had not demanded approval, but they had earned it. The message was clear. The galaxy had changed because of humanity. Vega projected one last image, a star system saved entirely by human action. Planets were intact, cities were protected, and people of many species were safe. The council could see the results, undeniable and clear. The humans had acted when no one else would, and they had succeeded. Ethan's voice rang out. We have done what was necessary. We have shown courage. We have protected life. We have revealed the truth. The council must now decide how to act in the future. But know this, humanity will always act to protect life even when others do not. That is who we are. Lyra Kellen looked around the chamber. Humans, you have changed the council forever. Your courage, determination, and willingness to act will be remembered. The galaxy will not forget the day humans arrived with blood-stained ships and refused to bow to fear, hesitation, or inaction. The councilors were silent again. They had learned a lesson they could not ignore. Humans were no longer just a small, weak species. They were guardians, fighters, and protectors. They acted when no one else would. They had challenged the council, revealed failures, and saved countless lives. Outside, the human fleet prepared to leave. Ships gleamed under the stars. The red streaks on their hulls reflected not only the battles fought but also the lives saved. Humanity had arrived at the Galactic Council with blood-stained ships, and they had left with respect earned and a message delivered. Even the oldest counselor, Voran, whispered to himself, "They are extraordinary. The galaxy will never be the same." Ethan Ward looked out the window at the council world, then back at the chamber. We do not seek to rule. We do not seek power. We act because we must. That is the way of humanity. Let the galaxy remember this day, and let courage and action guide the future. Commander Brooks nodded. And let this lesson be shared with all species. Inaction can cost millions. Courage can save them. That is what we have shown. That is what humanity will continue to show. The humans began to leave the chamber, walking with quiet confidence. Counselors watched as they moved through the hall, understanding that they were witnessing not just a species, but an example of true courage and determination. As the humans left, the counselors whispered to each other. Some were still fearful, others were inspired, but all knew one thing. Humanity had changed the galaxy forever. The council would never be the same. The rules, the laws, the traditions, all had been challenged by a small species that acted when no one else would. Vega floated beside the humans, projecting a final message. Mission complete. All objectives achieved. Humanity has delivered its message and demonstrated its capabilities. Ethan looked at the stars outside. The galaxy has seen us. They have seen what humans can do. Now we must continue to act, continue to protect, and continue to show courage wherever it is needed. Commander Brooks smiled faintly. And they will remember this day. They will remember the humans who arrived with blood-stained ships and changed the course of history. The fleet left orbit, moving quietly into the stars. The council world watched as the ships disappeared into space. The red streaks on the hulls were fading, but the message remained clear. Humans had acted, humans had survived, and humans had changed the galaxy forever. Even the oldest counselor, Voran, whispered once more. Courage, determination, action. These are the true measures of strength. Humanity has shown us all what it means to fight for life itself. The galaxy had learned a new lesson that day. Humans were not just survivors. They were warriors, protectors, and beacons of courage. And from that moment forward, every species knew that when humans arrived, change, action, and life-saving courage always followed. The story of humanity's arrival at the Galactic Council with blood-stained ships would be told for generations, not as a tale of war but as a story of courage, survival, and the power of action in the face of inaction. And in the stars, humanity continued its journey, ready to act wherever life was threatened, never hesitating, never bowing, and always remembering the lesson they had shown the galaxy. Courage is the greatest power of all.